So, Ironheart has now finished, and I tried to watch it to make a review, but honestly, it was so difficult, so I just watched the first and last episodes. Call that lazy, but it's been way too hot in the UK at the moment to sit inside and watch this crap, so I just couldn't be bothered. Now, this is the first Marvel Disney Plus show I've seen since Moon Knight, as I gave up since they were all just awful. Yes, even Moon Knight, let's not pretend that was good. It had a skybeam, for God's sake. It just wasn't a good show. Anyway, I didn't really know anything about the Ironheart character from the comics, and their introduction in Black Panther 2 didn't really teach me anything about them either. To be honest, that film was really boring and forgettable. Ryan Coogler seems to make worse films when he's under the MCU. He released Sinners this year, and that was great, and now he is producing Ironheart. I guess it's easy money for him. But yeah, this show didn't really do a good job at making me like the character of Riri Williams, as she just kind of came across as entitled, to be honest. The season starts with her narrating her life, and she says how Tony Stark couldn't have been a genius if he wasn't a billionaire. And it just seems like the writers didn't watch the MCU. I mean, the whole plot of Iron Man 3 was the whole if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it speech that he gave Peter Parker in Homecoming. And we saw that Tony was a hero without the suit. And of course, the very first thing we see in the MCU is Tony making the suit and arc reactor in a cave with a box of scraps. I wasn't going to mention that as everyone else has, but it's so important, and it just shows the writers of this show know nothing about the MCU or what made Tony Stark such a great character. Riri also says she wants to make something that can save the world. Well, guess what? The thing you are plagiarizing already saved the world several times. In fact, it actually helped save the entire universe. I really don't know why Marvel are trying to push this character as the Iron Man successor when we already have War Machine. Rhodey is a much better and more likable character, yet Marvel have just forgotten about him after they revealed he was a Skrull. But let's be honest, they've just forgotten about loads of plot lines they've set up in Phase 4 and 5. I just don't think we really need another character flying around in an iron suit. We need more original characters with unique powers. This show also really seems to hate Tony Stark, yet the whole premise consists of Riri continuing his legacy. Riri even says, Tony contributed immensely to the field, so I won't roast him. Like, what? Does she not realize how many times Tony saved the world? He gave his life to save the universe. She wouldn't even be alive without him. Yet her and the writers just keep disrespecting him. It's another case of writers bringing down an already established character to bring up another one. But as proven before, it just doesn't work and it makes the character unlikable. Not much really happens within the first episode. She steals the suit from MIT, gets kicked out of MIT, and then she joins a gang of criminals to do some heists to make money so she can afford to build a better suit or something. And then the episode ends with her creating an AI of her best friend or something like that. I don't know. It not much really happens in the first episode. So as I said, I only watched the first and last episode. So I watched the recap at the start, and I guess they used magic to help make her new suit. Anyway, the last episode mainly consists of Riri confronting the main villain, the Hood, who I will say just looks ridiculous, and I couldn't take him seriously in any scene he was in. He just looks so goofy. I don't know anything about the comic version of the character, but some things just don't work in live action, and this is the case here. Before Ironheart can even fight the Hood, she has to fight the son of Obadiah Stane first, who has these implants that give him electric powers. However, he doesn't want to fight her, but the implants make him protect the Hood, and the only way to stop him is to hit him where there are no implants, which of course is in the balls. Haha, very funny Marvel. So she knees him in the balls and puts some chip on him that rewires the implants, and he's not seen again. Yep, that's just the end of his story, I guess. Also, I don't know how his balls aren't squished. He was just kneed by an iron suit, but whatever. Those things should just be completely gone by now. But we move on. This was a quick and underwhelming fight, but it's not as underwhelming as the fight against the Hood. I think the fight against the Hood goes on for like 2 minutes or under, and it just consists of the Hood grabbing onto the suit and scratching it as Riri flies around the room. Then they land on the floor. Her suit explodes. The Hood shoots her, but it's then revealed that this was just a hologram. Then the real Ironheart appears behind him and takes the Hood off, and that's the end of the fight. It was such a terrible final fight, and it just felt like the budget went out the window. The whole hologram thing was dumb. Like, how long was it a hologram? He was grabbing onto it and scratching it, so would it have not been revealed then? It just felt like a cheap cop out, and it was so underwhelming. Marvel have been doing these Disney Plus shows for 4 years now, and they still don't know how to pace a season. Every season just ends with a rushed final action scene, and then it just jumps to a conclusion. It baffles me that they still haven't figured out television. After the Hood is defeated, Mephisto appears and speaks to Riri, and he's played by Borat himself, Sacha Baron Cohen, who gives probably the best performance in this show, but that's not really hard. And Mephisto seems alright, I guess. It would have been nice to see him in his demonic form, and the show does this really shitty voice distortion thing on him, which just sounds really cheap. Anyway, she makes a deal with him that brings her dead friend back, who was also her AI, and the show then ends. There is a post credit scene where the Hood speaks to the girl who put magic in the Ironheart suit, and he tells her he needs supreme help, like the Sorcerer Supreme. But let's be honest, this is not going to be followed up. I do find it funny that I skipped most of the season and it felt like I didn't miss anything. It was just a typical Marvel thing of a hero getting their powers and then defeating the villain. I probably also didn't miss much character growth, as Riri just seemed the same in the last episode compared to the first episode, and she just seemed the same as what she was in Black Panther 2 from what I can remember. If she really did go on this epic arc, then please enlighten me in the comments, but I just don't believe it. Now, from what I saw of the show, it's not as awful as people are saying. I think it has like a 3.6 rating on IMDb. I don't think it's as bad as that rating suggests. I've seen a lot worse. It's definitely not a good show. It's just super generic and forgettable. It's exactly like every other Disney Plus Marvel show, which, to be honest, is what I expected. I felt absolutely nothing from watching this, like I had zero emotion, and I'll probably forget it by this afternoon. It is sad that this is what the MCU now is, because I grew up watching the MCU and it felt magical and so exciting, but now I'm an adult, I just can't seem to care for it. I'm still going to watch the films, but the spark is just gone now. I won't watch the shows because I really can't be bothered for them. I only watched this to see if it was really as bad as people were saying. Personally, I'd give what I saw like a 5 out of 10, which is only slightly higher. It's definitely better than She Hulk, and it does seem to have a higher production value. The lighting and cinematography seems slightly better than the other Disney Plus shows, and the CGI is definitely better than that Drax arm in Secret Invasion. However, there are these moments of editing in like the flashbacks where it seems like an early 2000s film. Like it feels like I'm watching the editing when someone's stuck in a saw trap. It's really bad and it's so jarring. The main problems with Ironheart is the writing and the characters are just so unlikable. And worst of all, it's just really forgettable. I couldn't really recommend this show. It was super forgetful, and the writing was the typical Disney writing where characters constantly tell you how great the lead is, instead of actually making us care for the characters naturally, and they constantly undermine legacy characters to build the lead character up. It's an overdone trope at this point, which is why these shows get negative reviews, and it's why the fans have moved on. This was in production since like 2021 or something, and you can feel that in the writing. Thunderbolts was decent, and Fantastic Four looks alright, so maybe Marvel are improving, but I just don't think it will ever be the same. Marvel has now just gotten to a point where if it's not a big event film, people just don't care. And to be honest, a lot of people who were fans don't even care about the big event films now. Marvel is just a shell of its former self, and this show just confirms that, to be honest. So if you have seen Ironheart, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Even if you liked it, that's cool. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the show, and thanks for watching.